When it comes to the bizarre, we've always been suckers for spectacle. Today, millions cringe at TikTok challenges and tune in for shows like My Strange Addiction and 90 Day Fiancé. But have you ever wondered what was it like before TVs were around? Back then, the spectacle was real and often painful. This is the forgotten world of the weird American entertainment that gave us pole sitters, dance zombies, and goldfish gulpers. It's freaky, fascinating, and it says a lot about us. Let's step back in time with the Great Rewind. You've probably heard of dance marathons, but back in the day, people took these events seriously. Dance marathons started out in the 1920s to express the optimism, exuberance, and energy of that era. Initially, they were popularized as a kind of novelty, testing how long people could dance non-stop. They were jazz-fueled, flapper-friendly competitions where winning meant a few $100 and maybe a mention in the local newspaper. But then, the Great Depression hit, and suddenly, marathon dancing wasn't for fun, but for food. By the 1930s, dance marathons became endurance death matches. Couples would dance, or at least shuffle, for 45 minutes of every hour, 24 hours a day, for weeks or even months on end. Their prize, maybe $1,000 if they're lucky, but more importantly, free food and a roof to be under. Sometimes 12 meals a day, as the contestant motion burned a lot of calories. Today, we watch Dancing with the Stars, but 100 years ago, people danced to not starve. Contestants slept while standing, slumped against their partner like exhausted sacks of meat. If someone's knees hit the floor, they were out. People tied themselves together with handkerchiefs to stay upright while unconscious. Blisters, bunions, and shin splints were ever present. And while marathoners had nurses on site, no one was healthy. And yes, it was a spectator sport. Crowds paid a quarter to sit and watch people suffer. Some marathons even added vaudeville routines or musical performances mid-shuffle. You'd go to laugh, cry, and maybe witness a breakdown. It was America's emotional roller coaster live on hardwood floor. Eventually, public outcry led to bans, but for years, this was prime time entertainment. And if you think that's strange, just wait until you hear about the guy who became a national sensation just by not moving. Remember planking? That weird trend where people laid stiff as a board on top of vending machines and stair railings for likes? Well, a century ago, a more extreme craze known as pole sitting hit America. People sat hundreds of feet in the air, often for days on end. This absurdly vertical fad was started by Alvin "Shipwreck" Kelly, a man whose hobbies included being a stuntman, boxer, a sailor, and apparently a professional lunatic. In 1924, a theater manager dared him to sit on top of a flagpole in front of his venue to drum up publicity. He did so for 13 hours and people loved it. So he went higher and longer. Soon, pole sitting became America's weirdest form of clout chasing. Kids went up on trees trying to emulate their idols. Competitive sitters balanced on small platforms, sometimes over 100 feet in the air, through storms, heat waves, bird attacks, and sheer boredom. Food was hoisted up in buckets, and as far as bathroom breaks, let's just say gravity handled it. Some sitters actually had and used tubes that would go into a hole in the ground, but others didn't, and everyone below just hoped for the best. Shipwreck Kelly eventually set a record by sitting for 49 days on a pole in Atlantic City, but he had a serious rival in the face of Richard "Dixie" Blandy, who broke the record by staying up for 77 days at the 1933 Chicago World Fair. and these records kept being broken in the following decades. In 1965, Dixie Blandy stayed up for 125 days on a chair 200 feet above the ground in a Swedish amusement park. During this feat, it was said that he drank 92 bottles of whiskey and smoked 3 packs a day. The public adored pole sitting until the Depression made the whole thing feel slightly off. Watching a man get rich by not moving while millions struggled to survive was suddenly a lot less charming. Pole sitting fell out of favor and Shipwreck Kelly died alone and broke, while Dixie Blandy met his maker when a flagpole collapsed in 1974. Yet that wasn't the most gruesome fad of the early 20th century, as in the late 30s, college students made national headlines by actively gulping live animals for glory. In 1939, how many goldfish can you swallow briefly replaced "What's your major?" as the most asked question in college campuses around America. It all started at Harvard when a student named Lothrop Whittington Jr., yes, that is a real name, swallowed a live goldfish to win a $10 bet. He won, then the media jumped on the story, and somewhere, someone said, "I bet I could do better." Students at MIT, Penn, and other elite schools began downing dozens of the poor creatures. One guy reportedly ate 89 in a single sitting. Talk about dietary war crimes. They used salt, pepper, chasers, and even sometimes milk. One student trained by starting with raw oysters, and another one gagged on fish number 2, but still tried for 10 more. This might be objectively nuts, but it was safer than the Tide Pod challenges of a few years back. Beyond this, it was very cruel to the fish, and understandably, animal rights groups freaked out. A Society for the Prevention of Goldfish Eating was established, colleges threatened suspension, and one senator even tried to ban the activity. Yet the fad died out very fast on its own, but not before briefly mutating into even more weird challenges like swallowing phonograph records or live mice. Still, it was a perfect symbol of the time. Anxious, absurd, and looking for any excuse to laugh before World War II kicked down the door. And if you think that's unsettling, wait until you see the kind of life or death drama people paid to watch on purpose. And we're not even talking about humans anymore. During the times of Prohibition, Atlantic City wasn't just about gambling, saltwater taffy, and booze. For decades, it was home to one of the most bizarre and dangerous acts in American entertainment: horse diving. Yes, this was a real thing, invented by William Doc Carver, a former associate of Buffalo Bill. A horse would climb a 40 to 60 foot platform, often with a woman on its back, and leap into a shallow pool of water below. People absolutely adored it. The star of the show was Sonora Webster, who started diving in the 1920s and later continued performing after going blind in a horse diving accident. Her retinas detached when she hit the water face first. Most people would retire, but she kept riding. A Disney movie called Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken also covered her story, but if you ever watch it, keep in mind that Sonora herself was not exactly charmed by the way Hollywood embellished her stories. In its heyday, crowds packed the Steel Pier to see horse diving, multiple times a day, 7 days a week. Critics raised serious concern about animal cruelty, but the spectacle was too powerful. Accusations swirled that horses were shocked or forced to jump using trapdoors. Eventually, animal rights won out. Horse diving faded, but not before becoming a strange symbol of Atlantic City's golden age of weird. Several attempts to revive the stunt were made, but public opinion strongly shifted against it. And if you're wondering how any of this happened in a place known for roller coasters and cotton candy, the next part might surprise you. It's one of the strangest intersections of medicine and carnival barking ever seen. On the Atlantic City boardwalk, one could see clowns, fire eaters, and at times, strangely enough, tiny premature babies fighting for life in glass boxes. During the early 1900s, Dr. Martin Cooney had a problem. He had developed effective incubators to help save prematurely born babies, but hospitals would not take him seriously. So he turned to the only place that would fund him, the carnival. For a quarter, you could step inside a clean, quiet room staffed by nurses and see rows of fragile newborns in incubators. Over 4 decades, Dr. Cooney reportedly saved over 6,000 infants. While he profited from the spectacle, he never charged the parents for the care. Every dime came from the public's morbid curiosity. He was criticized for exploiting the babies, but his survival rates were excellent, and by the 1940s, hospitals finally caught on. The sideshows ended, but for decades, science had to be sold like popcorn. In the past, Atlantic City was the capital of this spectacle, which is why it was known as America's playground. If you want to see the epic story of the rise and fall of this city, watch this video next. Thanks for tuning in for the Great Rewind, and please support this new channel with a like and subscribe.